knowing Curlie now, almost approximately about 5 years. It'll be 5 years on the 13th of September. That's my anniversary with the company as well. They brought Curlie up to the table where I was working. So that's how we met, and him being totally blind and me having a vision impairment. And I was thinking like, okay, he knows what's going on. And I'm watching him, and I like to say I was in awe because he was doing things so smooth. And that's how we met, and we just hit it off. After that, it was just like, many always called me Hot Rod. So I just rolled and I called him Curlie B. So just been buddies, man.
I did some community services, believe it or not. That's how I ended up learning about the Lighthouse. I found out about this place, and I was just like, well, I said to myself, well, if God can do it for him, maybe they can do it for, maybe he'll do it for me. You had people out there working. You had people, whether some totally blind, some, that were legally blind. They were making a living for themselves, and they were making a living for their families. You looked around and you listened, you just be like, wow, man, they not feeling sorry for themselves. They working. Society tells you, stereotype you to where you believe, okay, you totally blind, you can't do anything, you helpless, and that's just not the case. When I lost my vision, I was 25 years old. It was December the 1st, 1996, and I can honestly say, literally, that was one of the darkest times in my life. This guy got into a fight, and I ended up beating him up, and then 2 days later, he seen me and did a drive-by shooting. I got shot directly in my face. I just can't explain it. It was just something you see in a horror movie where blood is just all over. I still remember laying in the middle of the street, said a prayer. I said, Father, protect me. And I feel like if I didn't say that prayer, I probably would have died right then and there in the streets. And that's a good thing about God's grace. He'll still be there for you. And that's what I knew in my heart, that he was there. I died in the middle of the street. The ambulance, the paramedics brought me back, and I died again on the operating table. Man, when I did finally wake up 2 days later in the hospital, I was in ICU, buckled down to the bed because they didn't want me to pull any of the tubes out my nose and out my mouth, and pressure was just so great, and in pain, you go from feeling like you beat the world to where your whole world caved down on top of you. You're just like, man, no, not me. This can't be. I was just like, nah, this is a nightmare, because I went from 20/20, no eye problem, no glasses, no nothing, to bam, total darkness. But then I knew when everybody was beside me, my family, friends, people were crying, but I was still alive. And that's a good thing about the Lord, whether it's his grace or whether his forgiveness, you cannot thank him. And he knew he had a plan for me. After I finished my community service, I was just like, I waited a while and I just couldn't get this place out of my head. And I was just like, man, I don't want to sit around the house and not do nothing and just wait on a little old check once a month that was barely, not enough to live on my own. So I reached back out to the Lighthouse. When I started at the Lighthouse, I was what they call a bander. The people, man, they helped me out a lot and were patient enough with me to show me the right ways, little tips that helped them when they started out. And I was so appreciative of that, and I was able to pass that on down the road when other people came behind me.
Curlie Bailey has been employed with East Texas Lighthouse for the Blind since 1997. Basically, Curlie has worked in production for 16 and a half years, covering various positions. His main areas of responsibility for the last 10 years have been saw operator for a flat towel converting line and a parachute cord winder.
Rod come to the company about 4.5 years ago. He was losing his eyesight. Life gave him some sour lemons, and he turned it around. And he came now when I was on the wheel line, and I was showing him somewhat about how to work on the wheel line, and kindness that the people showed me, I showed Rod, and we developed a friendship over the years.
When we talk, man, we talk about life. It's like at the end of the day, did you do the most productive thing you can do? And I've taken that from him. That every day, do something productive. If you do something productive, you guarantee to get a positive return.
Curlie has always been a very driven individual. He's independent. He likes to do things by himself. He's capable. He likes to learn, and he just has a great personality to get the job done, but also work well with the team. And he knows his responsibilities, and he wants to make sure that he does his job well every day.
I heard about client services, I guess, about 4 years ago. The training he's providing, the opportunity is there, and they're steady trying to make it better. If you want the training, it's here. But I think, you will have to be the one to make that decision. The company can't make it for you. I was so passionate about wanting to do better, wanting to know more, where the opportunity was there to be able to try to be a better person, get out of my comfort zone.
The Lighthouse Client Services works with those who are visually impaired or blind to teach them skills they need to find competitive employment. We have adaptive equipment training where someone who has no computer skills at all can learn how to use adaptive technology to use the computer to do the same things as someone sighted, they just do it a little different. Once a client has mastered how to use the computer in general, then we move them into our Microsoft Office training classes where they can learn how to use Microsoft Office.
I heard about this new job, data processor 1. I didn't know if I could do the job, but I met the qualifications through the training at client services. So I prayed about it, and if I fail, so what? But at least I tried, and that was the way I went into it. I wanted to be able to give it an honest look and seeing if it was possible, because there's never been anybody totally blind able to do it. And I think that was another driving force for me to be a pioneer, the one that's paving the way for the next person.
Curlie is actually probably the example of a lot of people out there. He was working at a day job, but he knew it wasn't the job that he wanted to continue in forever. And so even though the training wasn't getting him anywhere immediately, he had that vision for where he wanted to end up. So he was working full time, he was coming here for classes, and then he was even using his time at home to practice. And there was a long period of time between Curlie getting trained to when the job position came open. But because he was trained, when the right position came open, he was able to apply for it and was qualified.
It done it through process of eliminations, who was qualified. And so, make a long story short, I got the job. I was most qualified for the job, and I was grateful for that.
Curlie met the minimum requirements of computer skills necessary for the data entry position. The combination of the educational expertise and Curlie's ability to navigate Sage is crucial in his success in the position.
When I was first told that it was a possibility that somebody who was totally blind would be able to do this job, they asked me if I would go over there and assess the situation. Within the end of the day, I noticed this job was going to be accessible and that, yes, somebody totally blind could do it. My job as a job coach is simply to keep reiterating what is significant with each company that he has to do, what commands he needs to fill in. But I think this is just the beginning of a lot of new jobs that could be open that totally blind people have not had access to before, and that's what excites me.
It has made me spread my wings out a little bit more. I think it just stoked that fire in me again. So, okay, well, what's next? What's the next challenge? I'm still learning with data processing. I still have quite a bit more to learn. Will I stop at data processing? I very seriously doubt it, because I know me, I'm reaching, what's next? At the end of the day, I want to be that person when my name come up, I want something good said about me. No matter how difficult the job was, I gave it my very best.
In this position, he will learn more about the overall process of our business and will aid him in gaining skills to obtain other positions in the company.
Curlie is really good to work with. He brings a new level of excitement to learning. He's not afraid to embrace the unknown, and because of that, I can see him learning just about any job. I really can. I believe this is just the first step on his upward mobility.
His job is really motivating him. And it's so funny to me that all these different positions came about. He never applied for anything. And then, like I say, something came about. He said, man, I'm gonna just go. I said, shoot. He asked me about it. I said, man, go for it. He went for it, and because plus he's been taking the classes, why not? Took it, man, it's like, it's rolling for me. Sometimes I just get tickled when I watch him. I come through to the back and I see him over there. I'm dying laughing. I'm like, yeah. It's the time, bro.
You may have a disability, but that doesn't define who you are. You define who you are. So make a long story short, push yourself, empower yourself to be more, because, it's opportunities out there. And, if the opportunity presents itself, take it. What's the worst thing you can do? Fail? Get up and try again. My name is Curlie Bailey, and I am empowered, and I do approve this message.
Share this video now and help empower blind and visually impaired individuals. Call us today at 888-565-3852 and learn more online at tylerlighthouse.org.